Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Ray, and you have found yourself at my little nutrition nation where we talk about pet food and we learn the basics on how we need to be approaching evaluating different pet foods and the packaging and the nutrition and all those things. So if that is interesting to you, come hang out with me today and we're going to get started. We're going to be doing a little bit of a foundationals video, and this is going to be a segue into some other videos that I'm going to film highlighting the importance of and being able to pick out descriptive terms on pet food labels. So people don't realize it, but the pet food bag, is a legal document. You cannot put things on the bag necessarily that are false, because it becomes a fraudulent label situation, a false marketing situation. But as you know, with anything legal, there are always loopholes. And so descriptive terms on pet food labels are a little bit of a loophole that marketing companies will use to deceive you. Is that a strong word? It's a pretty strong word, but I mean, it's true. It's true. And so what are descriptive terms? You've probably seen them. I'm sure you've seen them a million times and didn't realize that they were necessarily deceptive or that they had meaning that you can use to help evaluate the pet food. And so those are terms like flavor, platter, entree, even the term with, recipe, those kind of things. And so those terms actually have meanings, and when you look at a pet food, those words are usually on there and readily available on the front of the package. And so just by finding out and identifying those terms, you'll be able to get some useful information about what is actually in the pet food, more than even what is on the ingredient list. And so on this channel, you will find that I do not spend a lot of time on the ingredient list. Why don't I spend a lot of time there? The ingredients list, number one, lists things on order of weight and not volume. And so we've talked about that before. Just because something is heavy doesn't mean that it is filling the most of the package. So you can have something that has got a lot of water weight, like whole chicken breast, that is not providing very much nutrition to the food, sitting right next door to something that on the ingredient list that is not very heavy, like a chicken meal, and that chicken meal is providing the most of the protein and all the other nutrients because it is very dense. But it does nutrient dense, but not physically dense. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't harp on the ingredient list. The other thing is the ingredient list tells you nothing about bioavailability, how the ingredients are interacting with each other. So for example, and I'm going to get into this later, blueberries. We put a lot of blueberries in there. Well, it doesn't tell, they're not telling you that, if you overload food with blueberries, maybe those are going to start inhibiting some of your vitamin A containing things. So it doesn't tell you the quality, or it doesn't tell you how the ingredients are interacting with each other and maybe inhibiting other ingredients or canceling things out. It also doesn't tell you the quality. So you can have two ingredient lists, and the big thing out there is, okay, certain pet foods use the 4D meat. So when you look at an ingredient list, you're not going to see on the ingredient list on this food chicken, not 4D, and then on this food, chicken 4D. You're not going to see that. Both of those are just going to list chicken. So it doesn't tell you the quality of the ingredient. So I don't harp on the ingredient list because there's a lot there that can be intentionally put there to deceive you, and pet food companies 100% do that. You can say all the time, I had a client the other day tell me I feed XYZ food. Actually, I think it was From. She said, well, I switched from whatever food she was feeding recently to From because From's a small family-owned company. And I looked From up. I can't remember what it is, because when she said that, I was like, From is not a small company at all. From is a huge company. Yeah, I was like, man, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I thought From was big food. She switched to it. She told me it's a small family-run pet food company. Let me look it up. And if you go to like zoominfo.com and you look up From Family Foods, it's a $37.4 million company. Okay, that's not a small family company. Your veterinarian who catches a lot of flack for selling pet food and all they're in it for is the money, and all this stuff. Your veterinarian is if they're not corporate run, your veterinarian is a small town, small family business. They don't make $37.4 million a day, $37.4 million a year. And so, just keep that in mind, that a lot of that's marketing. The marketing told her, and you can go to their website, and the name of the company is From Family Foods, and it instills the fact that it's a small family company, and there's that quality control and that love and that dedication. It's a $37 million company. I'm not saying they're a bad company. I've done a couple of reviews on their foods, but it's not what she thought it was, okay? That was a marketing that drew her in. And so today I want to point out something that maybe you guys can utilize to try to get past, again, this marketing rose-colored glasses that a lot of us find ourselves wearing, or maybe don't even know that we're wearing them. And I hope this channel is helping you to see that. And so we're going to go into, what do these terms mean? What do these descriptive terms mean? Where are they on the package? And then we're going to go through a couple examples. Okay, so the first one is if you see the word flavor. If you see the word flavor, that's like the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. Anything that says something like chicken and egg flavor, shrimp flavor, venison flavor, anything like that. What they need to have, the amount of that product, so if it's like shrimp flavor, the amount of shrimp that actually has to be in that food is less than 3% of the total product. It could be more, but there are other terms that will be available to them if they used more, and they're going to use those terms. And we're going to go through a few examples. So that's the word flavor. Flavor means less than 3% of that protein, that whatever ingredient is listed is in that food. So keep that in mind. The next step up from that is when they use the word with. And so an example of this would be like the one that's here, and I'm going to put this chart up here. This comes from Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. This is figure 9-2. You can read Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. You could read the entire chapter if you'd like. It's linked in the description box below. It's free. It's where I got this graphic from. So an example of when they use the word with is something like best friend cat food with shrimp and jelly. And so when you see that word with, again, that it is at least 3% of the total product. So flavor was less than 3%. If they use the word with, it means you're probably right at that 3%. It may be a little bit more than 3%, but it's not enough to get it to the next descriptive term. And so that's the word with. Now, the next one up, if they can make it this far, so if it's up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, they have to use the word with. Once they get to 25, they can use a couple different terms. And so in order to use the word platter, entree, formula, dinner, or the one that I find most popular, which is recipe, they have to have at least 25% of that product, that ingredient in there. So if it says something like beef dinner, chicken recipe, beef and barley recipe, that means that they're at least providing 25% beef, 25% barley, 25% venison, and whatever. So that's those descriptive terms. The last one is they don't have any word. It's the non-word. So if they say tuna for cats, if they say beef for dogs, and they don't use any other descriptive term, that means it's at least 70% of the total product. I searched high and low for a product that had that on there and could not find it anywhere. Why? Because you can't make a complete and balanced food that is all, or at least 70% of that product. It's not going to be able to do that and be complete and balanced. So I couldn't find any of those out there. So we're not going to be, I guess, spoiler alert, having any of those. So when we go now to our little self-quiz, you will know on the multiple choice, you can automatically eliminate that one because there are not going to be any options there for that. So now we're going to go into the fun part of this little game show, at least what I think is going to be the fun part of the game show. I'm going to flash a package, and then you're going to get like 5 seconds to multiple choice say, is it 3%, less than 3%, or at least 25%. Okay? So let's pull up some options here.
Oh yeah.
Here's the first one. Popular brand, The Honest Kitchen. Label says whole grain beef and oat recipe. All right, so this is a beef and oat recipe. How much beef and oat is likely to be in this pet food? So is it going to be less than 3%? Is it going to be around 3%? Is it going to be around 25%? Or is it going to be around 70%? All right, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think of your answer. Okay, so if you said around 25% beef and oat, you are correct. Now let's think about it. Was that what you were thinking in your mind before you learned and before you participated in this little exercise? Were you thinking when you read beef and oat recipe that the beef and oat, both beef and oat, okay, both of them, were going to be around 25%? Or did you think it was going to be more? All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so here we got it. Air dried Ziwi Peak, the original series, chicken recipe. But here they've got a little extra information. 96% chicken, but we've got a little bit of bonus here on the front of the package. They're saying 96% chicken, organs, and New Zealand green muzzles. Okay? So we've got a chicken recipe with 90% chicken, organs, and New Zealand green mussels. Is this food less than 3% chicken, around 3% chicken, around 25% chicken, or, given the information on the package, around 70% or more chicken? If you said 25%, around 25% chicken, you are correct. And so you can see here that they are trying to deceive you a little bit by saying that this is 96% chicken, organs, and New Zealand green muzzles. You would have to email the company and see if they could give you the information about what the exact breakdown is, but 96% is chicken, organs, and New Zealand green muzzles, but what is that 96% of? Is it 96% of the protein? Is it 96% of the food? No, it's probably not 96% of the food because they use that word recipe there. All right, this is the Purina Pro Plan. I know we've all seen these, very popular. We've got the Pro Plan Complete Essentials Shredded Blend Beef and Rice Formula. So this is a formula. So we're 3%, less than 3%, or around 25%, or 70% beef and rice. All right, if you said 25%, you are right. You are getting the hang of it. Let's do a can now. Cans, there's a lot of creativity I see on cans. Right here, we've got the Yukonuba. This is the mixed grilled chicken and beef dinner in gravy. So beef dinner and gravy. What do we got? 3%, less than 3% beef, 25% beef, or 70% more beef. It's canned. Look at the juicy chunks. Everything there. Take all that into consideration. All right, if you said 25%, you are correct because dinner falls in that descriptive term that means it is only around 25% beef. Let's do a few cat options here. All right, we got the 9 Lives, the meaty pate. We've got a seafood platter, a platter of seafood. If you said 25%, again, this is the most popular descriptive term. You are correct. There is 25% seafood, whatever that is, in this platter. All right, let's do another cat one for my cat friends. We got Sheba, Hadn't seen Sheba in a while. I think people probably still feed it. We've got here on the left the tender white fish and tuna entree. And then on the right, we have the gourmet salmon and seafood entree. Where are we going to be when we see the word entree? How much tender white fish and gourmet salmon are in these foods? 25%. You got it, 25%. I hope you're getting the hang of this. Another example here, we got fancy feast. What does it mean when there is a feast of fish and shrimp? We're meaning 25% is fish and shrimp, 75% something else. Let's see. Oh yes, I saved the best for last. And this is the Open Farm New Zealand venison and ancient grain recipe. So we know now that if they use that term recipe, it means that the New Zealand venison and ancient grains make up likely around 25%, right? So I thought I would email Open Farm. Open Farm's website is big on transparency in ingredients. You can follow the ingredients everywhere, everything. We're an open book. Ask us anything. We are totally transparent. Great. Best company, I thought, maybe to ask this question. So went over to Open Farm. Let's hop over. I'm going to hop over really quick to their website. Here we have the New Zealand venison. And of course, you go on their website and you can get the full ingredient panel. So ingredient list, you guys love it. Ingredient panel. Everything is listed, in the order by weight, like they always do. So the number one ingredient, like they say, is the 100% animal welfare certified New England venison, first ingredient. As you go down, then you've got the oats. Then you've got here the Manhattan fish meal. Now, if you've been following this channel, we've talked about ingredient lists a lot. We talked about it at the beginning of this video. The first ingredient is there because it's based on the whole ingredient with the water, right? So New Zealand certified venison, if it's the whole piece of meat, has a lot of water in it. That water is going to be rendered out. That water is not going into your dry dog food, right? That water has to be removed. So when you remove that water, what happens to that actual component of the New Zealand venison? What do you think happens to it? It actually would drop it farther down on the list. That Manhattan fish meal actually is probably the primary protein source of this diet. And so me thinking and wanting to kind of be a little bit of the devil's advocate, I emailed them. And, they were very good at first. They were very good at first and were very responsive. So I asked the question and they said they were going to have to look into it and they would get back to me. What I said was, hi, I was looking at your venison dog ancient grain recipe and I wanted to know the percentage by volume, not by weight, of the first few ingredients. Specifically the venison, the oats, the fish, the barley, the milo, the millet, and the ocean white fish meal. They emailed me back, yada yada. We use nutritionists and PhD animal nutritionists, etc., etc. Just like great chefs, our recipe specifics are proprietary. I'm like, that's odd because you said everything was transparent. And that's just really odd to me that this is proprietary, but okay. Rest assured, any protein named in the title of our recipe makes up at minimum 25% of the recipe. At Open Farm, we also focus on high protein inclusion diets, and 80 to 90% of the protein in this specific recipe comes directly from the animal ingredients. Okay, well, they're calling this a venison recipe, and what's in our mind is, okay, this is a venison-based diet. They're not coming out and saying that that's not true, but they're not also coming out and saying that's true. They just want me to be rest assured that at minimum 25% of the recipe is any protein named in the title. That's a legal definition. They are regurgitating to me the definition. So I emailed them back because, again, it's supposed to be super transparency here. And I said, sorry, I didn't really answer my question. I wanted to know the percentage of volume not weighted the first 6 ingredients. I know the protein is 25% because that's the legal definition to use the word recipe on your package. I wanted to know the percentages of the other things, such as the fish meals. And so I got an email back a couple minutes later. I do apologize, this information would be proprietary. So again, getting blocked under the typical term proprietary. If your pup has any health concerns, we suggest looking over the recipe with your vet to be sure that it's suitable. So what did I say? I said, well, I am a vet. That's why I'm asking. Because, I thought specifically your company was focused on advertising transparency and ingredients, and I'd like to be able to get this information. So, they're saying, go over this with your vet will be able to help you. And I'm saying, okay, well, I am a vet, I need this information, maybe I'm helping a client, I don't know, they don't know. And so what happened after that? Crickets. Never got another email back. Didn't get information as a vet, needing this information for a client, for a patient maybe, zero, it was crickets. And so please know that these descriptive terms do mean something, and these companies do use them in full transparency, knowing what they have to put on that package legally to not get in trouble, but also knowing that, are banking on the fact that you don't know. And so I hope after this video, I have given this information to my little nutrition nation so that they can continue to fight the good fight and understand the marketing. You need to understand, A, that it exists, because a lot of people don't. B, you need to understand what it means. And C, you need to be able to remove that from the actual nutritional makeup of a food. So I hope this video was informational and maybe helpful and maybe a little bit of fun for you guys. If you like it and you want more like this, be sure to like and subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and hopefully we will hang out again real soon.